makes it the ultimate Pacific playground. But these bays and beaches can be deadly. Nearly half the world's shark attacks occur here. And it's home to a notorious area of shark-infested waters known as the Red Triangle. The ocean predator's latest victim is surfer Eric Tarantino. The scars on his arm are just 1 week old.
I remember I was laying on my board paddling, and I didn't see it at all, I didn't hear it. All of a sudden I just remember kind of getting hit. I'm pretty sure it hit me with its mouth open and caught my neck. The only thing I was thinking was get to the beach, get to some help.
Eric's experience is not unique. Since the 1870s, 263 people have been attacked by the great white shark. Over half of these have occurred in the last 20 years. And in 2011, it's not just California where the great white bites. South Africa, a shark tears both legs off a swimmer in waters near Durban. Russia, 2 young men are savaged in the Sea of Japan. One victim loses both his arms. These are the first ever recorded great white attacks in this part of the world. Western Australia, 2 die in separate great white attacks in the Indian Ocean. One happens 18 kilometers from the coastline. The brutal attacks are happening in almost every ocean, near the coastline and out at sea. The great white shark is on trial, accused of developing a taste for human flesh. This prehistoric predator has an evolutionary armory developed over 400 million years. It's the ultimate oceanic hunter. It has a line of sensors along the length of its body which detect the vibration and thus location of prey. Receptors across its snout identify electrical impulses given off by everything it encounters. And it has a sense of smell which can detect a drop of blood in water nearly 5 kilometers away. Eric's surfing in the early morning when the great white attacks him.
Couldn't see all of it. I didn't see its tail, I didn't really see its head. It was kind of in front of me, pulling my arm. I couldn't tell if I was bit anywhere else, so I think I kicked it like 2 or 3 times before it let me go.
Wounded, Eric swims for his life.
Oh, I'm bleeding, I'm flailing, I'm in the water. That was the scariest part, seeing if it was gonna come back for a second bite. I surfaced. Soon after that, my friend was really close by, and I just kept yelling at him.
Eric swims to safety. The iconic predator, with a lethal reputation, has let him escape. Ralph Collier's been studying the great white for over 40 years.
These animals don't want to hunt human beings. Usually the reason they're releasing the individual is because they're not interested. If it's a diver or a surfer, they've tasted neoprene, they've got maybe a little blood in their mouth from the human. That doesn't taste anything like natural prey.
The great white feasts on seals, sea lions, and even whales for their high calorific content. Humans are too bony and difficult for a shark to digest. Sharks prefer to spit us back out. In 2011, of the 12 people attacked, 8 survive.
If white sharks wanted to hunt human beings, I would never talk to any survivors, because there's nothing you or I can do to defend ourselves against an animal that's 17 or 18 feet long and weighs 4,000 or 5,000 pounds.
If people aren't a deliberate target, what's motivating the great white to utilize its super senses to attack human prey around the world? In Eric Tarantino's case, the shark uses its highly tuned eyesight. Its vision is 10 times more sensitive than a human, the equivalent of seeing the light from a match almost 160 kilometers away. But this sense is only effective in clear water.
Looking back historically, attacks frequently occur in water that's very, very murky. We now have to view this object as the shark would see it. He's in an area that is frequented by seals and sea lions. He sees a very fuzzy image above him that's a kid on a boogie board. He can't distinguish any real features. It's just a blur, so he races up and attacks. So the fact that a shark would mistake a person for food as we perceive it can only be due to the fact that it can't see the object clearly.
Not all great white attacks can be blamed on mistaken identity. Marco Flagg is one of thousands of people who dive off California's coast. In addition to the usual scuba gear, he's testing out a prototype scuba computer, which turns out to be a lifesaver.
I noticed something and I look to my right and I see a tail fin that is about as tall as I am, or almost as tall as I am. And it just went gliding past me and disappeared.
After checking him out, the 5-meter great white glides away, seemingly uninterested. Marco quickly makes for the surface.
On my way back, again I noticed something, this time off to my left and below, and I look down and I just see this huge circle of teeth coming right at me. I turned towards it, and the next thing I know, it just clamped around me. At that point, I must have blacked out.
The shark clearly sees Marco and knows he isn't prey. So why does it try to take a bite out of him?
In the head area, you have electroreceptors. They can detect very minute electrical currents. All living things have an aura that we give off. We have this minute electrical energy being transmitted. All living things have it. This system is designed to pick up that very minute current.
When these juvenile hammerheads swim over this plate, scientists trigger an electrical charge equivalent to a billionth of a volt. The shark immediately bites. Similarly, when Marco dives with the computer, the shark picks up its electrical current as it passes close by. The current attracts the shark and gives it the urge to attack. Attacks on divers are rare. 9 out of 10 great white encounters around the world occur on the surface. But why would the shark's super senses make it launch out of the water and crunch into a surfboard or kayak? Dwayne Strosaker's kayaking alone 8 kilometers off the Californian coast, unaware that the strokes from his paddle are alerting a monster below him.
Out of nowhere, about 3 feet from the kayak, this giant head of a great white with its jaws wide open comes up and clamps on my kayak right here.
Sharks regularly breach the surface, chasing seals or sea lions. They're drawn in by the splashing of their prey, which they can detect up to 3 kilometers away.
I didn't know if it was going to go ahead and bite through the kayak and bite my foot off. And of course, my left foot is inside of its jaws.
The shark has a bite pressure of 1.8 tons, 20 times stronger than a human. Receptors along its jaw tell the great white within 300th of a second whether its victim is worth eating. The sensation of fiberglass in the shark's mouth is nothing like that of its normal prey.
All of a sudden, it just gently let go of me, slid back in the water. It didn't tip me over or anything. I was still sitting straight up.
Dwayne Dwayne has a miraculous escape from the jaws of a killer, which has used its senses to locate him. But there's one more element to this predator's profile that trumps all its senses and could be the motivation for the attack on Dwayne and those across the globe.
Most of the attacks on humans are investigation, which means the shark is not quite sure what you are. It's the same reason the adults bite crab pot buoys and why they bite zodiacs. Now, none of those objects replicate or even closely resemble a natural prey, yet these animals bite them. Curiosity.
Sadly, it's the shark's bite power, coupled with its natural curiosity, that causes such catastrophic injuries. One small bite is all it takes.
These animals have the equipment to do a lot of damage to a human being, even if they're not hunting you. They're just coming up to take a test bite because it's investigation.
The final mystery, and one of the most important that needs solving, is why global attacks are on the rise.
Really goes back to it's not so much what you're doing in the water as where you're doing it that creates this potential for a possible interaction with a shark.
Millions more people use the ocean for pleasure than ever before. The increasing popularity of water sports and improving wetsuit technology means humans stay in colder water longer. Eric, Marco, and Dwayne are victims who, like so many others, are dramatically encroaching into the once exclusive territory of the great white, triggering this predator's natural curiosity.
You realize once it's happening that, it doesn't matter if you're prepared or what. If it wanted to eat me, it would have eaten me.
Yeah, in my case, it could have easily, crunched through my kayak and killed me if it wanted to.
If it had wanted to get me, I don't think that would have been any problem for the animal whatsoever. I would have been dead.
The chances of an encounter with the great white at sea is 11 million to 1. With odds this good, it's no surprise that millions of people are taking the plunge.
Everyone knows they're out there. We take the chance every time we go in the water.
Case closed.